Ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, on Friday, we got a new update for Warzone. And in this update, we got a brand new cutscene for Black Ops Cold War. It was very odd that it was in Warzone and not in the Black Ops Cold War update. To be quite honest with you, I don't have a reason as to why it was in Warzone and not Black Ops Cold War. However, this cutscene continued the opening cinematic for Season 1 and gave us an answer as to what happened to Adler on the attack on them from Stitch. And this is a very interesting cutscene, and we're going to watch the whole thing and then break it down, but this actually means a lot more for the future of Black Ops Cold War than the present, and you'll see what I mean by that once we dive in and break it down. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to play the full cutscene, including the opening cinematic for Season 1, put them together, and then after that we're going to start to break it down. If you've seen it already, I will leave timestamps down in the description for the breakdown and everything that we talk about, but here's the cutscene.
Adler has some pieces of the puzzle, but doesn't know he's a piece himself. He won't live long enough to work that out. I won't show him the mercy he showed me. I was in charge of the production of Nova 6 on Rebirth Island. I answered to Colonel Kravchenko himself. I was loyal, my star ascendant, until the Americans found us. That's when I met Russell Adler. He could not break me.
Tell your boss, this is for Weaver.
For letting Rebirth fall, Kravchenko sent me to Gulag, where I found my true calling.
He's trying to bait you, Adler.
No shit. But if we don't stop him, civilians are gonna die. Do it. What the hell? He's manufacturing Nova 6 again.
Kill the rest. Adler is mine. See you in hell.
All right, so one thing is very clear from this cutscene is it was obviously made at the same time as the original cutscene for Season 1. They obviously just cut off the end of it and then added it in now. The question is, why would they do that? And I think the easy answer is to put it out before Season 2 comes out to lead us into the idea that the Season 2 story will continue whatever this story is from Season 1, which I think is fantastic, and Modern Warfare did the exact same thing, where it was telling us the story of Warzone and Verdansk over the various different seasons. Before we dive in and answer the question, where is Adler being taken by Stitch, I first have to point out something big in this cutscene. One thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. In this cutscene, originally at the beginning of Season 1, there were 3 operators alongside Adler. You had Bulldozer, Zayna, but you also had Woods. And Woods is the only character in this who's actually a part of the main storyline alongside Adler. Now, in the second half of the cutscene, there's actually only one scene where you can see Woods, and it's this which you are seeing here, which ends in an explosion that Woods, Bulldozer, and Zayna end up getting knocked to the ground from an RPG. After this is when Adler eventually gets in a fight with some of the goons and gets captured by Stitch. Now, the line at the beginning of this, Stitch says, "Kill the rest, keep Adler for me." But we obviously know that Woods isn't dead, as he's in Black Ops 2. So that that pretty much means that Woods is also captured, unless part of the future story is how Woods escapes this mess. But as you're going to see by the rest of the video, it's actually going to make a lot more sense if he is captured as well. So essentially what I'm saying with this cutscene is it's a setup cutscene. This cutscene is to remind us what the story is from season 1 and what we can expect going into season 2. Adler is captured by Stitch and being held hostage. The big question is, at the end of this, as the helicopter takes off with Adler inside, where is he taking him? And essentially to this question, we have two potential answers. The first one is the most obvious one. I don't like this storyline, but it is the most likely. This storyline would be that Adler is being captured by Stitch because earlier we found out that Adler captured Stitch and tortured him, essentially took out his eye. So Stitch wants to do the same thing, but he also is working for Perseus. The reason why we know this is because in Stitch's backstory, we find out about how he was held within the Petropavlovsk gulag, which I'm probably saying wrong, but is also the same gulag that Captain Price was held in Modern Warfare 2. Now, that being put aside for a second, what we know about him being held here is that he was saved by Perseus, not the KGB, not anyone who he was working for before, like Kravchenko or Steiner. He was saved by Perseus. Now, one thing that we see with Stitch is him wearing this necklace with an interesting looking symbol. As we find out from the Season 1 Battle Pass, this represents the Underground Collective, but we see in other situations that it also is representing Perseus agents. So just keep in mind, anytime you see this logo, think Perseus. So what I'm saying is if Treyarch does follow this storyline, what's probably going to happen in Season 2 is the Season 2 cutscene is going to begin with Adler being held hostage. We'll probably see another member of Perseus, whoever Stitch actually takes it to. Right now, the name The Wolf is actually a code name for a Season 2 operator, which would be pretty interesting if it wasn't the Wolf from Modern Warfare. So that is a possibility, but again, that is a leak. We'll talk about that in a future video. And then in the Season 2 cutscene, whoever is the good operator that they're adding, I think Mason would make a lot of sense, not saying that it's going to be him. Someone is going to come and try to rescue Adler. That is what makes the most sense, and Occam's razor says the most obvious solution is probably the right one. However, that's not what I like. I like the most interesting solution, and there is one that is so much more interesting. So we've talked about this before, but the map cartel is all about the Menendez drug cartel, the death of the father, Jose Luis Menendez, and how his son, Raul Menendez, is actually taking over. Now, on this map, in a bedroom, you can find Jose Luis Menendez dead on a bed, but in the same room, you can find a note from Stitch. Now, let me read to you this note. It says, "I understand the US is holding an ally of yours. We can secure his release if you agree to us utilizing your global shipping and distribution trade routes, obviously using this for Nova 6 gas. I have precious cargo that cannot be disturbed. As goodwill, I know that your friend is scheduled for a prison transport next year passing through Miami." Now, this note is one of the coolest Easter eggs ever in a Call of Duty game, and you may not even notice. So, what this note is talking about is about Manuel Noriega. Manuel Noriega was kind of Raul Menendez's right-hand man, but he was also a CIA informant that was giving the CIA false information, which led to a whole series of events in Black Ops 2. Now, what you may not know about Manuel Noriega is in real life, this is a real-life person, and in the year 1989, so this is where the stories kind of divert a little bit, he was actually held as a prisoner in Miami on charges for racketeering, drug smuggling, money laundering, and essentially this happened after a Panama invasion to capture him. Now, where this is kind of changed is that in Black Ops Cold War, this takes place in 1983. And if you're thinking, well, this timeline doesn't make any sense, the note says next year. No, we see calendars on this map that indicate that this map actually takes place on May 1982. So a year later would be Miami, hence the map Miami being in Black Ops Cold War. Now, I know I totally went off the rails there, but like I said, it's a really damn cool Easter egg. But the important takeaway from this is that Stitch is working with Raul Menendez. And as I mentioned before, Woods was one of the people at the mall. One explanation, that answer that we have never got, is how Raul Menendez has Frank Woods captured at the very beginning of Black Ops 2. This would answer the question if Stitch actually captured him, took him to Raul Menendez as an offering of peace, and that is how Menendez captured him. And if you're wondering why Mason isn't there with him, the answer is he is not currently in the game. He is MIA. This would actually answer so many questions about the Black Ops universe. Now, another option too is that he also takes Adler to Menendez, but that doesn't make as much sense. As far as where he is taking Adler, I actually have a pretty good guess. Recently, they added the map Sanatorium. As we find out in the Activision blog for Sanatorium, is that this map is actually being used for something called Project Golova, which translated from Russian means head. They're doing the same sort of testing that Adler was doing on Bell, but to other people. So what we can take away from this is that Stitch will probably be taking him here, so that way they can do some brain experiments on him like they did on Bell. And also, as we can kind of assume, this is being run by Perseus. So just as a summary, what we know here is Adler has been captured by Stitch. That's 100% guaranteed. Our most likely case scenario is that Adler is being taken to some sort of higher up within Perseus. The other thing that we know as well is that Woods was alongside Adler during this mission and is either captured or killed during this mission. Most likely captured because we know he's alive in Black Ops 2. We also know that in Black Ops 2, he was originally captured by Raul Menendez, and Stitch is working with Raul Menendez. We also know that the map Sanatorium is used to brainwash people in Project Golova, which would make a lot of sense for Stitch to be taking Adler there. So all in all, this cutscene doesn't actually give us a lot of information as to what is happening now, but rather what can happen next. And it's going to be really interesting to see what we get from the Season 2 cinematic. And of course, when we get it, we'll break it down, talk about it, and see what is coming next for this Black Ops Cold War story. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, it is always appreciated if you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, like what you see, want to stay up to date on all my videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, and as always, let me know what you think down in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.